Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. How's everybody doing? It's General Space-Time Creator. Hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I know I did. It's good to have a relaxing connection to all levels. It's all about levels of balancing you and all calculation setting. So it's important you understand what's really happening with your body and the new division, right? Coming into space division lines. This is all levels of alteration calculation, right? We're going to come into frequency patterns and calculation awareness high setting, which is going to basically change the infinity, all levels of track location of videograph screens. So we have to learn how to set location in a theta box and set a communication that picks off your stream locations. Now, there's a lot of things that you all have to understand is it's how you modify your settings. So look at this way. Coming into new adaptation, new cycle, new division, new location, new activation stream setting is trying to understand how you see things now in a different perspective. You have to come out of your perspective to stay in your phenomenon line setting of channel location of operation. So the avatar becomes more aware of what it's seeing. It spends more time looking at a wall. It spends more time looking at the phone. It spends more time looking in position of what it needs to understand. It's communicating through its geometry line of operation, guys, through its division. And that's what it is. It's division of direction or direction division. It doesn't matter. What matters, does the avatar understand the seventh dimensional vibration of its energies? Does it understand the operation cycles? Does it understand the location to its system? Does it understand its thought direction of time? Okay. So the existence is line communication. You have to really understand the channel operations because it's all levels of structures. It centers its calculation and interference. It's that position location of directions. Right now it's 11:17. But what does that mean to you? Because I know what it means to me. It's all levels of travel. Everything is travel. Mind of traveling is everything through its correlation. You come into all position of manifestations. So the avatar is starting to recognize more lines of communication on the other side of its intelligence, right? So the more you adapt to this, the more you become more of what it is. Because if I look at a wall and I take time to actually look at the wall, I can see the central graph, the communication settings, electrical panels, division line setting, orbit interference, the planet surface location, position, and direction locations calculation, all through a wall. Because I know what it is. Because I travel through the wall. Because I come to the wall. So when you become things, you attach from it. And then you look at it again, and it's got its space and time because you've already communicated with it already. So you become its own intelligence. So it understands you and you understand. So you become the wall, you become your own wall, which becomes a different wall communication. You're communicating with two different intelligence now. You're not just the wall now. You communicate with a higher level of vibration and frequency. So when the avatar starts understanding these things, it becomes more aware and it becomes extremely adjusted in all communication to understand what it is in all through division line setting. See a watch in communication line interference. See, a watch. What is a watch in communication? Right? What are line center locations? No, it's upside down location, right? But you truly understand that what is a watch representation to its calculation setting? Okay. So you put it on your wrist, but it's all timelines. It's all time frequency. It time locks its division locations. So this watch becomes all calculation of what it is through travel. So the avatar sees it through geometry. Okay. It doesn't see it as a watch. Okay. So once you understand the operation of the how, everything starts platituding faster and faster and faster and faster. The mind conception gets a lot more connection, the sequence location of its patterns, the balanced communication line settings comes more information, right? So you become more line connected to the male and the female aspects location of its watch. Because there's two sides of this, right? The whole position location of direction is truly understand the time. The little hand location is sun, the big hand is the moon, and the hand that's going around, that's you traveling. So every time it goes through line center location at 12 positions, and it's 24 signal. But you guys are in a 24th line setting, which is a 24,000 location of its division, right? So everybody's in a line communication of space division line setting. So get you in calculations to 8-dimensional pod lines. That's in calculation to levels coming into honeycomb interference. So you see your 8th dimensional line stream, which is extremely powerful stuff when you see these things. So you really have to take care of what you have right now. Okay. So the best way to put it is to understand that you go into the store, you buy a new jacket, you put it on, it's stiff, and eventually after a while, over time, it's just a jacket, nothing else, right? It's in position location arsenal in a second. So I find spending more time with your avatar, especially when you get into the calculation, you really understand, you see things up close. We've done it already on live. So it's like looking at patterns on a blanket or a towel. The avatar starts to understand more levels and how everything is put together of a pattern. Okay. You know what I mean? So it positions its direction to its location, all levels of channel operation. Okay. Getting into the calculation setting is true to center how to set these things up. Okay. And that's why once you guys come into all level your positions and how you see things all through a clock, all through time of a clock, clock locations, clock activation, stream settings, all position, location, of direction, right? So this is how it works. Because I was just trying to figure out how everything works. Well, it's all done inside. Now, when the avatar spends more time looking at things from inside, that reflects everything from outside, but the outside is inside. So remember, there's no outside in any level. It's all levels of inside. So everything that you're seeing through perception is inversion. So that's a true understanding when you have to start seeing things. And the avatar is more aware of these things when it comes into calculation 2 in a one-line setting. Okay, so you'll see, you see a pattern of division like this in calculation. Okay, that's a pattern. It's all a pattern, right? So it could be on a blanket, it could be on a pillow, it could be on anything. So it spends time up close of what it is, up close of what it is. Each line represents its position of travel. Okay, so there's no beginning and there's no end, but all levels of its creation is already in set location. All right. So I really want you guys to pay more attention to that because you're reaching higher levels of the mind of alteration. You really starting to understand the calculation to its energy lines, right? And the factory of its calculation setting is treating how to reset these position location of its program. That's to set a new division location to its line setting, okay? So inline rotation, I'll just show you guys. All right, so we got Skylar calculation settings, Cami high setting, all that interference, max and calculations, all of the Jill, Lindsay, Pam, Gypsy, calculation airbender, Heather, Johnny, Chris, calculations, Nova, line positions, Adam, Sam, all levels. Great to see everybody. Okay, hope you had a restful weekend. All right. Let's see. Pyra, Cami, Joanne. All right. So Jeanette, Val. All right. So you guys are already probably traveling already in that line setting. So I just want you to get more aware how to really connect to everything, right? Because this has never been done. I mean, how often do I have to look at something? I mean, it's really taking time with everything that you see, because everything that you see is travel, and everything is created through a pattern, guys. Everything is a pattern. Everything in life is a pattern. So to understand it is not to see it from this distance, it's to see it from this distance of what it is. Each line is a representation, right? So you got two row graph streams, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you got 5 line signals in a 4 graph location, right? 4 graph location right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 over line center locations equals 4. 5 equals 4. See how that works? 4 line communication comes into position of its triangle line setting. So 3, 6, and 9. This is where it gets complicated, but we're not in 3, 6, and 9 anymore, right? We're in 6, 7, and 8, and 9 if you're in a CPU in a line setting. So sure you stand that there's all levels of a graph line setting. So when an avatar is looking at a pattern, he's trying to understand its code signal, position location of its direction to its lacing lines. So when you really look at it, you see the pattern doing this. Inside out, position location of 4 line, position of 5 direction, right? And then it gets like this, okay? Goes faster and faster and faster, right? So it changes the director location to its position of its provision, right? So the avatar starts connecting more lines of communication, right? So the inversion sets line signals. So that's where you start to see things up close. See the background change? See the light signature lines? See how it changes to blue? See? It's all communication, right? Setting signals sets up tone line, position, location, directions, but it's all levels of how operation setting location is. So when you're looking at things up close, when the avatar of your self line position understands all calculation, it understands line connections, right? All right, so let's go into all setting. Okay, so coming to honeycomb. 8-dimensional line signals and calculations. Okay, you got your graph streamline settings and interference, all pods and communication. It's all set up position of its directions, right? Code signal. That's getting AI connections to platform communication protocol to CPU and line interference. All right, so there's all your pods and calculations, right? It's all through graph, it's all through pattern. Everything in life is a pattern. Everything in life is travel. So it's understanding to see things up close, not afar. Because you can't understand what it is until you understand to see things up close, right? That's inversion line setting. This is psychosis location line setting interference. But lacing lines of 3 line communications into a graph line center is a box location, one box to the next. So we got 1, 2, 3, right? 3 of the top lines, center calculation, right? So we circle that line setting interference, right? That's 3. Then we come into 6, 9, and 12, okay? So it says line communication setting interference. So we got 3 here, but we got 4 here, and we got 4 here, and we got 4 here, right? All in calculation high setting. Hold on a second. So I just want you guys to recognize your time and your maintenance and how powerful it is to see 3-line communication of circles in position locations of 4. 3 here, 4 here. But see, the program changes because you know there's 3 here, but there's 4 here. So if you look at really close, you can understand why these things need to be fixed. See, when you see patterns, it's kind of like a repetition of a cycle along that doesn't understand its calculation and position of a pattern line and rotation. That's all over the division line setting, okay? So you got 4 track settings in 4 division locations into 4 line setting interference, right? 4, 4, 4, 3. Okay, so it's interesting to look at those locations, but each realm has a division line setting interference. So it's recognizing what's going on through its operation signal, right? So when you start using things over and over and over and over, what happens? It starts fading, starts fading, starts fading. It's like the jacket. The jacket, you start become more aware to the jacket, and it's just a jacket and nothing else. And when you start wearing it, it's not stiff anymore, right? So it feels like, whoa, I'm really blended into this jacket. I've merged into one position location, right? So it's no longer stiff in any way and form. But just to realize it's just a jacket and nothing else, right? We have to start looking like that and feeling like that and how we connect to all our sense lines. So when you get into 3-line position location calculations, it all levels its calculation high setting. So we're going to add another pod communication setting interference. Now it's a balancing communication setting rotation, right? So the 4 lines of communication, right? So it's kind of like when somebody gives you a number that's off sequence. Let's say it goes into 1, 2, and 3, and then it goes into 5, 6, and 7, but the 4 is missing, right? So why is the 4 missing, right? Is it supposed to be there? Is it out of order? What do I need to fix? Is it a problem? So you're starting to recognize things through the avatar when it has an interesting program setting that sets location, position of directions, and realize it's all in position, location, and calculation setting. I want to know if you guys understand these things. So in position location, when you travel, you go with a line center location of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But the position locations in a high line setting puts you in a higher line division location, the alteration. So it's interesting to look at these things. So if I go position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, that's 5 central line connections, right? It's very powerful when you go in that, right? But if I reverse position location calculations, why is it in 6? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Should be 5, right? You ever think of that? It's kind of weird. So it's interesting to look at it. Saying I saw it on TikTok. It was pretty interesting. So he's trying to understand why is this 1 to 5, but when I go backwards, line setting and interference, why is it 10, 9, 8, 7, 6? Why isn't it? Why is the 5? Where's the 5? The 5 is the central line communication of the heart. So it's not in 6, it's in 5, right? So it's a reading system locations of his position to understand what's out of calculation. And it's the same thing with the patterns of information location, how it comes into 3 channels of operation signals in position location of 4. You just reset locations and put it in line setting. Line inner rotation comes in position location 3 equals line center locations of 4. So you got 4 line setting, 4 position location circles, 4 division line inner rotation, and 4 calculation setting rotation interference. Right? So it's central to its communication system. Okay. But I thought it was pretty interesting when you look at that aspect, how things are very powerful. You know, how you come into 1 to 5, but when you go back, it goes to 6. Right? This is the process that we don't understand. The central communication, even though I got position locations on 1 thumb and 4 fingers, inline setting, rotation, interference. Everything is different intelligence at different time sequence, location, different codes. So either way, even though if I go back, it's just because it's 6 doesn't mean it's line connections off system. It's just it's in the 5 central line connections. Everything is a balance. If it's off balance, your mind line center, your thought is getting communication or confusion. So don't get confused with that through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Right? Because the 5 central system is already in balance of calculation. It's how you perceive yourself and your realities. So it's interesting to look at locations. The same thing with energetic graph line streams or line connections, especially when you come in into fading systems. Sometimes they scratch things out. They weave in line interference. They set lines off calculation. See, it's all confusing, right? But these are lacing lines, right? And the faster it goes, the faster it goes, the faster it goes, it comes into more lacing lines, right? So it's about balancing all these calculation settings into coloration of path into its chemistry line position, right? Traveling line center sets all communications, right? So we're going to set your line communications to each dimensional graph location, each dimensional line setting of your pod communication settings. Locations, code signal line, rotation interference, 7 track locations, 7 channel operation streams. Now, calculates modification of all lines of code signal locations into energetic path. All right. Coming into all theta communication settings, all position location and its directions, right? Applied to division line setting, interference, product location, CPU. All right. So central communication, you guys have seen your pods now, 8th dimensional line. So now's the time to really take care of your bodies. The graph line stream is coming into line in the interference locations, all right, into 99% of calculation. All right. Full communication, and it's always in line connections of that 1% that holds its signal locations. So 99 equals line position of 1% location. So the avatar starts living the box line setting, puts line communication to ground setting in position of power generation light streams, sets communication to higher line division locations out of this equation. Okay? Travels line position, all line setting. So it's all about understanding how to use block surface location, how to take 99.9% locations or 99 cents in line center location of 1 cent position percent location per dollar per channel per operation line setting and all out calculation to its abundance. So there's a lot of things you have to understand how to use the 9 equation because the central communication setting sets line position location direction. So this to get 9 line interference, 9 position locations, 9 allocate timelines, and high in the line center location, 9 position of lower graph locations. So it comes into line position locations into north, it comes into the east, comes into west, and comes into south, right? This comes into all position of its console, calculation high setting, comes in line and rotation interference. Sets position location of 6, 7, 8, and 9 line setting. Okay. So once that comes out, it comes into higher line setting and division locations into travel into new orbit of communication in its dimensional setting rotation. Okay. The highest formation that you can have is all levels of 9 calculation. This comes in all position locations into all process of yin and yang. Okay. Yin and yang is a cycle in line setting that sets all position location to its measure. Now the scales line setting, everybody knows what a scale is, right? Scale is all what? Balance. Balancing the scale. Balancing the scale, right? Scale's got to be line setting in rotation of balance on anything that you position location. Let's say you got 4 channels line rotation of 6 positions, right? But the 6 positions doesn't equal line connection to its 4 anymore. There's 4 central line connections into overits, comes in high channels. This comes to underscore line center line interference of 1, right? So that's individual line setting. That's a code reference location equal line connection to all levels equals error. Okay, so now the error line center change line position location to its 1. This comes in a high interference location of 0, 1. 0, 1 comes back in the line position of 6. 6 position equals line conditions of 4. You box position of 4 line center, trifactor its position locations, balancing communication, 4 line setting, 4 equals 5 in calculations, balancing communication to a scale line system. See? It's all levels and numbers, right? How to scale. So, and that's where it comes really interesting locations, where you come into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then it's interesting to look at locations, again with the hand line, 10, 9, 8, 7, and 6. See how that works? Now, you probably think this is off balance because, just because you have 4 fingers and a thumb doesn't mean it's position location offsetting. You just think that that's what it is. Say, well, if I got position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I count backwards, line center of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, why isn't it 5? 5 is the central system location to your scale that balances all line center location to your thoughts and how you perceive location to your travels. because the first thing that you change is your frame of an idea. The idealistic of you changes all levels of the ology line setting. Okay. So when you understand that position location, it changes all levels of the dynamics of you right away and always in forms, right? So it's really interesting to look at these occasions, right? So 5 line center comes into 6. Line inference, 4 comes into position locations in all line setting when it's high center locations of 9. Now 3 position location of 7, 2 position locations of 1, 1 position location of 0, and all line center locations, right? 3 line center, its position locations into all line center locations in high setting, all direct location to position of 5 into 8 communication setting rotation, all through triangulation. So everything I do is balanced through numbers, patterns, calculation, setting. So think that each pattern that you reach position locations on all levels, let's say you have a tablecloth and it looks like this. Okay. Now, it's true you understand the tablecloth and what it's doing through its triangulation, all position, location, and directions, right? That's a tablecloth, right? So you got to see the pattern, how it's set up. You got to see all line setting locations. So remember, it's all calculated to modify how you set line position. So it's all about understanding how to take these things out of its equation to understand position locations. So you got a 0 line center interference, you got a 1 track location, a 2 division location, a 3 line rotation, you got 4 division line center, 5 in calculations, and 6 in allocated timelines, and you got 7 in portal line communications, 8 in infinity circle, and 9 in calculation. All right, and you got 10 in rotation, all through its tablecloth. Okay, so it's all about understanding how to put these all in order. Okay, how to understand the patterns, the calculation setting. So once you understand the patterns and you understand the correlation, then you understand the pixel through stream setting. Then you come into theta box. Now theta box changes location of number sequence, and that's extremely complicated stuff. But it's really recognizing all levels of a tablecloth of what it is, the number sequence location of patterns. Understanding the 7 over 2, 2 over 3, 3 into 1, 1 position of 9, 9 position of 10, 10 position location of 6, 6 position of 5. 5 is always balanced. 5 line center into 4, 4 position of 6 locations, or 3 line setting, position location directions. So it's sure you understand how to use a pattern of calculation. Now understand that line setting, every number sequence location comes out of its portal into another division. Okay, that's what you guys are coming into, space divisions. You just have to really understand how to travel locations into another realm of calculation. Okay. Looking at the aspect of you is trying to understand the operation cycle, operation system, location, position, and directions, because everything that you see is nothing but an AI map. It's a map of you through its calculation, right? Align steady electron lines, clean off wings, flight, inserting amethyst, crystal wash lines, smoother formation, rainbow graph streams, initiating vortex through data, stream highway, did create the portal. All right. Sending codes received from rainbow, swirl streams all levels. You see, the thing is, when people are saying things to you, is it making any sense of what's going on? Remember, it's the voice box line, center line, position to your all line center interference. So it's true understanding recognition locations that you reside more lines of your vibration. And that's how you accumulate higher levels, higher division. Once you understand how to use your voice through vibration, things change. Once you understand the energy of form, things change. Once you understand the frequencies of higher line sound location towards harmonics, things change. Everything changes. Time changes. Everything, vortex location changes, right? Everything that you see changes over time, okay? But getting into space division gets you a better platitude vision of what's going on through your mind of alteration, okay? Because I was trying to figure that out too, because when I was communicating with patterns and line connections and, number sequence pattern locations and hieroglyphic locations of channels and operation circles and wall interference, trying to understand this in all line position was all levels inside location. Okay, nothing is outside line. Everything is inside. Everything is inside. And that's where you come into full communication of inversion. All right. So reclaiming center in the shadow. Okay. All right. So I really want you guys to get a little bit more understanding how to really communicate to your new body line setting. Get you in a better high position to its calculations, how you form yourself, like really connect with each other through vibration through your avatar setting, right? Really start talking through your CP units, right? Computer adaptation. Okay, computer equals computer line setting. Okay. You can change graph locations. Computer equals location of triangulation. There's a 3-line position. You can still add 3, 6, 9. But see, the only time you can add 3, 6, 9 is all levels of memory. See, this is where you have to understand the position and directions. So when you get in 3, 6, 9, all right, you can add position location 6 equal line conditions, all levels of 7. 7 location equals 8. 8 position location equals 9. Center communication setting. So there's a lot of things that you can do, right? But you have to understand the memory. And the only way to do that is understand the how. So again, that's what the avatar is doing. The avatar is trying to understand things around its system from inside and how everything works from all levels, from all angles. If you get a 45-degree angle location, that's a 45-degree angle. One angle line center location is an alpha channel position of directions, right? Setting signals. So it's got 3 communication circles in center communication, right? 3 equals circle. Okay, you see that? Now the line center, you box its position location becomes its theta box. That's sonar interference. Now the line communication comes into blinking lights. It's high center locations and 4 channels and 3 operation. 4 channels and 3 operation. 4 channels and 3 operation. So you have to recognize that line center, line condition interference. So 3 equal location of 0 and position location equals 7, right? 3 over line center location equals 7, right? 3 channel operation, 4 division. 3 channel operation, 4 division, right? So it's understanding how to communicate through these things. And it's all levels of mind through travel line position. This helps you in all ways and forms, right? So when you come into the lines, you guys are higher level of this calculation. Alpha equals locations into velocity, okay? So alpha equals velocity. Now velocity comes into a theta box. Okay, the theta box comes out of equation locations right away. So it's all levels of line conditions. You come into a Fibonacci sequence swirl line setting position directions. Okay, you come into secure line setting. That protects location. Now you can come back in setting line and rotations. It comes into time locks. Times equals lock equals line position of communication. All right. So there's a lot of things you have to understand. It's all recognizing lines of patterns and correlations. To understand the synchronicities locations. You get from one planet here to another planet here to another planet here to another planet here to another planet here. All right, so you got how many planets? How many planets? You only see 5, right? I see 6. Do you see what I'm talking about? Where's the 6? The center operation of you. But you don't see it, right? That's the triangulation position of direction, location, whose calculation, high setting. It puts all lines, position, location, whose calculation. Ooh-ah. See how that works? Just because you see 5 planets doesn't mean that you know what you're doing with your calculations. So when you're in position locations, you understand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but how does 10, 9, 8, 7, 6? Where's the 5? How come there's not the 5? Right? The 5 is the central communication of balance and how you interpret your line setting. So that's a Trinity stand where you guys only saw 5 planets, but there's always in position location. You are always in the center operation. You are the 6th planet that holds everything in correlation. You see how that works? That's all in a triangulation. 3 triangulations right there. 3 here, 3 here. 3 equals line center location of 3 equal line position location, x t,000 line setting, and high interference. Position locations, all levels. High line center is its calculation system to 6 line center location of 7. Line center line position location 8. 8 position locations of 9. 8, 6, 7, 9. Line position location into its diamond core. There's the graph. Okay. So There's a lot of ways you can mix these things up. You know, you look at the pattern and it changes rotation, changes division, changes line connections, right? Okay, it's like mantra. It's like you know, correlation to all levels of high interference, all position locations to kumite, the setting line position of fighting, setting calculations, all setting, rotation interference. So when your body moves, everything moves all at once. You know, in one timeline, one sequence, one location, one pattern, one line division, not two line divisions, only one. So you're moving at the same synchronous locations of timeline. So if I'm going like this, my body is going the same direction, right? But if it's not, it's confused. It's going, whoa, 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 whoa. There's off balance right there, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on? You know? But if I go in the same direction, I'm fine, right? So it doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how come it's not position of 5 when you go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6? See? So right away, you think that's off system. Right away, you think that's off calculations. And that's a program setting that you have to get out of. The center operation stands on point. That's you in the center of communication. You are the center of your own universe line that sets its position to its directions. Okay? So you have to be aware of these things all through pattern. Okay? You are the center operation to everything. You are the center of operation, anything that comes into your equation. Remember that. Okay? So it's all about communicating with everything that you see in your provision locations to its line setting. Okay? So I just want you guys to be more aware of what the avatar is now into, to understand how to really understand the form, the energy of its form, the calculations of the form, the directions of its form, the synchronous location of pattern, high and center location operation of its form, communication interference location, energy line settings, of vibration location of its form. How many times did I say form? Right? So it's really understanding. It's all levels. We start off with these locations. You go inside the box, you jump outside, and you look back in. Okay? You're here, jump out, and then look back in. But you don't go in. Something changed. So it's interesting to look at these locations. If you're locked in sequence line center and atom line center rotation, is trying to get out of the equation line and rotations. Another intelligence comes in high setting. There's next 2,000 position directions, right? And then you get a line center location of UFO position location directions. Scan the line center and rotation interference. Scans position location all levels. Opens a higher level of tractor beam in position location directions. Right? So it's all about you understanding the circumference of you, understanding the rotation cycles of you, understanding your avatar of all communications of you, how to recognize your line positions of numbers, letters, shapes, and symbols, and really get it in a relationship with everything that you do in formation location to its avatar, which is all levels of pattern, geometry, line setting of operation of its division. And that's what you guys are coming into. But you got to get out of your time patterns. You got to get out of your old sequence locations. You got to get out of your old system and stay in formation locations in your 7th-dimensional graph streams. Now, that's going to help you in always in forms, right? So when I'm looking at something of what everything is in position of shape, of pattern, the correlation and division of sector, calculation, quadrant line setting, and box realm calculation setting. All through the sun position, all position of the moon, and all levels of center operation is me in calculation. You are the center of your own universe position. All right? So that's where everything stands. It's extremely powerful. So if your central system is off, why? It's because you don't understand the how. Right? So it's understanding that if I've got, let's say, I get 10 line signals here in direct locations, right? It's all balance and calculations, even though it reads 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. A direct line setting. Everything is balance and communication setting. How you set your line connection to your brainwaving patterns. Okay, really understand the synchronous locations and how you rotate the cycles. right? It's a continuous force. If you're not in a continuous force, you're off system location, right? This is off balance. Whoa, too much on one side, too much on that side. Okay. So you have to really start recognizing that and really start concentrating on how to set your positions and how you see yourself through your avatar through all levels of inversion, right? Center the communication. Really understand the center of operation of everything that you see. It doesn't matter where it is. If I'm looking at you, it's the center. If I'm looking over here, it's the center. If I'm looking over here, it's the center. It doesn't matter where I look. Everything is center because you are the center of everything that you see. Okay? Nothing changes. So the only thing that changes is your thought. So if you want to be off center, you're off center because you want to be off center. But if I want to be center, I'm centered. If I want to be centered, I'm centered. Doesn't matter where I am. I'm always centered because it's me. See, if you go line center line interference, so let's say 1, 3, 6. Okay, so we're missing all position of 2, and we're missing line position location of 4, and we're missing position of 5. Okay, so we got 1, 3, 6, right? And we got 2 position locations of 5 and all levels of 4, right? So does this look off balance? No. But to you, it's off balance. That's your problem. So I know exactly that 1's in center. I know 3 is in center. 6 is in center. Line position of 2, 5, and 4. It's all in center. Because everything is in center, stands in center point. Communication to its triangulation, all levels of telepathy of telekinesis. It's all in balance. See? Into the right and left hemisphere location, position, and directions. Each number is a position to your direction. How you set your signals. So 1 is split in division, male and female location. That's 1. So it's the male aspect. Let's split that. And it's got the female aspect. Let's split that. That's a graph. Let's go into this. Okay, calculations. Oh, what do we got here? Data stream, right? So now you understand why it's so important to have the male and the female aspects of you of understanding what 1 is, because it has the male side and the female side of you in line position location into its yin and yang. All right? So that's the only time you're off if you change your thought. Because everything's balanced. Everything has to be balanced. Life is balanced. If you're not balanced, then you know what you need to work on. It's the how of operation. Everything works. Okay? It simplifies everything. Everything. So once you get into that, this option always informs to truly understand everything. What's given to you in all communications into 2 division. Into the left, into the right line connection. Okay? Line setting, line rotation, interference, locations to all positions. Into the moon aspects of you, in line position location is sun aspects of you. But the sun and the moon comes together. It's together. It's not separated, it's together. And it's everything of yin and yang. Everything is one. One. One process of all operation is you. Okay? The one thing that faults the system is your thoughts. Thoughts of its intelligence. It sets all signals off calculations. And then you realize, oh, okay, I got 1, 2, and I got 10. Right? Is that off balance? No. You just think it is because numbers are missing. So if I say count from 1 to 10, you can't, can you? You can't count to 1 to 10 because all you see is 3, right? Get out of that program. So it's to understand how do you see things in this equation. When somebody gives you something, it's all levels of vibration. All right. So yes, there's number missing, but that doesn't mean I'm off balance. It's just when I say, okay, I want you guys to count to 1 to 10, right? You count to 1 to 10, but you get confused because you only see 3 numbers, right? Because there's a lot of numbers missing, but nothing's missing, is there? That's the problem. So you have to learn how to get out of the box, jump out, and look back in. Okay? Because you guys are hiring lines now. You understand position directions, right? Really understand the channel operation, how everything works in locations to your numbers. Okay? Especially when you come into symbols. The symbols are fascinating. It's amazing how symbols are set locations in division. Center calculations into back force line settings, into line connections of levels of line setting location and positional location. High channel operation streams. Calculation high lines and scale position location directions. You just have to really understand how to merge in everything of scale in calculation high setting. Everything is a map sequence location of you. So the only time you find things off balance is you're not connecting to all levels of your thoughts. So you don't have the balance of your male and the female aspects of you. Okay? Because you look at the foundations of the grounds and the powers in the atmospheres, it's perfect. Weather knows what it's doing. The atmosphere knows what it's doing. Correlation knows what it's doing in position, location, directions. That's where you're off signal. Because you're not going beyond the system. Right? So trying to understand what this through formula, it's an extremely high line setting, right? Now it looks like a lot of gibberish, but it's a formula. It's all levels of travel location. It's all balance and signal, right? So we got 3 lines levels. Levels, line, center, location, equal location, and communication, right? 2 weather panels and calculation, atom to line settings, and 2 aerial division locations, right? Okay, so we come in a 45 line setting, 2 atom line center rotations, into a swirl, line center location, and atom surface. Sets line locations into high center of 6 levels of communication, 2 line settings, and balanced communication. That's what this is. It's a formula. So you can pretty much go through the mind of travel through any line setting. So it's all foundations. Everything's got to be balanced, because if you're not balanced, you're off scale. Okay? Too much thoughts on this side. Too much thoughts on this side. Way too much thoughts on this side. Oh, I've just traveled over that line. Wait a minute, I'm back over this way. Oh, I'm not in balance. 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 Everything I'm doing, I'm in balance. But everything that you see is off balance. Why? Because I say, do you see the manipulation here, guys? Do you see how easy it is to understand the balance of communications, all levels? How do you start recognizing more lines of your avatar and seeing yourself locations, position, and direction? It's incredible when you see these things, right? All right, so I'm going to take you guys out of track lines. You got 47, 48 line rotations. Wait until we get into 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Boom, you're back. All right, so you're back in signal, back in activation, back in the ground setting, and into observation locations. Close your portals, close your windows, all line centers, and position and direction. We also have calculations. I'll give you 5 minutes before we get started to go to Q&A. All right. All right. All emotional line settings, release all lines of programming that no longer serves me. Understand everything happens for me. Yep, that's exactly what it is, David. Yeah. We'll get more into that in Q&A, all right? Because there's a lot you need to understand, especially when you're in a new adaptation of your new avatar line setting. Because the 7th dimension location, the grounds, and the power locations, and everything of the avatar line setting is true to understand you through division. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys on Zoom. Adios.